We have the great honor of having 6 leaders of the international social movement to share their thoughts with us today. Can I get a round of applause for them? When you send an email to your fellow organizers, fellow revolutionaries, fellow visionaries about, hey, you know they did this one thing in this one place and it's what we've been talking about, that's what we're going to hear about today. And you say, you know, there's this one organization, they have 1 million members. That's the kind of organization that we're going to hear about today. And this is kind of to inspire us to reach the level of scale that we want, and also to see how we can connect what we're doing to our international allies, which is why we created GGJ, why we're here to help move GGJ forward in this phase. We have with us, sorry, was I going fast? Patrick Bond and Desmond Sa from South Africa, representing the Anti-Privatization Forum and the South Durban Coalition for Environmental Action. So these folks have done a lot on the climate work internationally. They've provided some really visionary leadership about how the whole economy needs to transform if we are to have air that is breathable and water that is drinkable. We have Maureen Santos from FACE in Brazil. Here. We have Alessandra Seregati from the World March of Women, also from Brazil, but it's an international organization. Some of you met her before. She came with us to the Social Forum. We have Hamouda Sobi from Alternatives in the Maghreb, who will be on Skype later. We had to split up the Skype comrades. And next to me is Marco Velázquez Navarrete from Remalc and the Hemispheric Social Alliance. And of course, the World March of Women and the Hemispheric Social Alliance are both alliances that GGJ is a member of. So this is why you may have heard of them before. We've asked them to answer 4 questions. The first one is, tell us about your organization. What's the focus of your work? What kind of organization are you? Tell us about your members or supporters, the scale of your work, and tell us about a recent victory so we can get inspired and email our friends. Just kidding. The second one is, what's your perspective on this framework that we're developing? No war, no warming, build an economy for people on the planet. Why is this important now? And can you share an example of work that has happened that's hemispheric or global using this frame? Because we didn't invent it, actually. We heard it from some of these guys. And then the third one is, what's your take on the state of the social movements on an international level? And what is needed from the movement in the US? What opportunities do you see for collaboration? This is like the $6 million question, right? So take notes. And then the last one is, as an alliance, we've had a hard time aligning ourselves at certain moments because we are many and each organization already has work they're doing. And we're asking them, how have you dealt in your alliances with this kind of challenge? What advice would you give us? Does that make sense? So, Desmond, welcome.
Thank you.
Un aplauso. Let him hear you.
Should I speak slowly in case you need translation?
I'm sorry?
Should I speak slowly in case you might need translation in Spanish and other languages?
Yes, thank you. Yes, we have some mighty interpreters.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, the organization is the South Durban Community Environmental Alliance in Durban, South Africa. It's where the COP is going to be hosted this year. The conference of the, it could be the conference of the people or the conference of the polluters. South Durban is the home to the biggest chemical cluster on the African continent, as well as in the Southern Hemisphere. The focus of our work is around environmental justice, which includes the issues of challenging the petrochemical and chemical cluster, as well as challenging the government to carry out and enforce the laws, or if they fail to force the laws, to challenge them on those laws that they failed to do. Our organization, the South Durban, the ZC, we call SDCA, has been formed in 1995 after a brief to the South Durban Community Environmental Alliance to the South Durban area by the then President Nelson Mandela. It ranges from across race, creed and color, also different sectors, which means we work across livelihood, which includes the peasant fisher folks and the farmers, as well as communities living on the fence line of the petrochemical industry. Also, we work with the conservation groups, which are pro-environmental justice groups in Durban. We work around 285,000 people that live in and reside in the local communities. Our membership, 16 affiliated organizations, make up about 100 people at this present moment in time. And our recent victories have been to ensure that we hold industry accountable. We also ensure that we've got the necessary legislation in place. That took me years of challenging and campaigning around it. You'll bear in mind that South Africa was not a democratic state before 1994, and we had all apartheid legislation that continued to protect the industry in Durban and in South Africa, although we might be reversing back to that same position, pre-94 position in this present moment in time. But however, those victories gave us emphasis that small people can win. And I recall in 1994, when we were challenging the major big corporations, we were told that we could not take them on and we would never win against them. Well, we have seen that many of the corporations in Durban, over the years, we have challenged them, we have exposed them, and we have put out information about them and we've written about them, which has never been done before. So that itself is a victory. There's more awareness around climate change and about environmental justice issues since 1995 than ever before. One of the greatest victories is that the information that I talk about has been taught in the secondary schools and in some church institutions in Durban. We've also going to be, since 1995, we've closed down a number of hazardous landfill sites in South Durban, toxic landfill sites, such as in poor black communities. And the latest one will close on the 15th of November. So those coming to COP17, the Conference of the Polluters, will able to see victory in that the latest hazardous landfill site by one of the major big waste company, which is owned by the Anglo-American group, the mining corporation, and the mining family, the Oppenheimers, who have raped this continent and have raped South Africa, will definitely close on the 15th of November. No more hazardous waste going through local indigenous communities. Now. And when we went into that area, people said, well, you'll not be able to take them on because the Oppenheimers own all the gold in South Africa. They all over with their gold, whether in the US, in the New York Stock Exchange, or whether in the London Stock Exchange. They own big section of land in South Africa. And we have won that victory by basically taking them on right up front, right in their backyard, and smashing them down.
Yes, sir.
And we see that this whole idea of war and corruption and oil has been linked directly to all the mishaps that we have had in what we call the petro-military complex. And I was party to the Shell AGM since 2002, and I recall the Shell Oil Corporation at one of the AGM said that they went and armed the military, the militia, and the government of Nigeria against the Ogonis, against the Nigerian comrades in the Niger Delta. And many of you all aware that Ken Saro-Wiwa was killed because the regime of Sani Abacha was armed by the corporations. But I think it's all to do with the whole thirst of oil in the Gulf of Guinea and in the Niger Delta, and that's why we see this militarization increasing, like we've seen in what's going on in the Middle East, and we see again with the rush for war in Libya. Clearly, it's an indication that being compensated with oil. Clearly, it's an indication of militarization and taking resources from those countries. And we certainly say that it's better if the oil stays in the soil. The oil must not be removed. The oil has been a curse for many countries in Africa, whether it's in Angola, whether it's in other parts of Africa. We say the oil should stay in the soil, and rather than have all this here. We do not need this sort of militarization, which has not benefited people of the continent, which has not improved their lives, which has not improved the quality, which does not include other issues in this country.
Thank you, Desmond. Tell us.
We're just trying to get it on this phone.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Sorry.
Now tell us your opinion about the state of the social movement.
Perspective on the framework we're developing. Yeah, I've said that. Yes, certainly I think it's important that we need to share our examples and our experiences and work collectively together in a global campaign against it, maybe solidarity campaigns, which is very important for us in the South with the North, because I think you guys can do a lot more where you are placed at. Just saying loudly is that I think what's crucial here is that we need to build a global social movement. And there are huge possibilities around these issues. In building this global movement, we're having a strong discussion next week at where Patrick is based at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, the Center for Civil Society, with the South African chapter of climate justice groups, and we're hoping that we can, COP cannot be the end of it all. I think COP must be the beginning, the conference where we build a global movement and we link our hands all over the world and become that powerful movement to take on these corporate polluters with their suffragette governments of the world. I think it's very important that this work continues, and it has to be rooted in local struggles. I don't think we're saying that it mustn't be rooted in local struggles. I think it's important that the local struggles continue, but it must be linked to the international struggles all over the world where people have their backs to the wall.